moved into producing and directing. And that's really where my gift is. My gift is in the small details, the logistics of things. And I like it back there. But Jewel, she's going to pull you to the front, and she's like, no, I want you to say and tell your story. So thank you for getting me out of my comfort zone.
So what I want you all to know, some of you probably have seen the Vagina Monologues. Anybody seen the Vagina Monologues? Anybody heard of it? Okay. Well, how many of you realize that we need to have our own black version of that? Someone that would tell our story. Well, that's what Yetta did. She created, in the spirit of Vagina Monologues, Butterfly Confessions, based on her book. And the beautiful thing about it, Yetta, could you share with them how, because you were sharing with me, how you actually have licensed your creativity so that other people pay you to present and produce your work on a college campus. You don't necessarily have to be there, but they're actually embodying your work, and you're getting paid for it by sitting at home. How many would like to learn how to create passive income? Yeah. So can you share a little bit about that process, how that came about?
So many years ago, probably in the early 2000s, for about 7 or 8 years, I was producing and directing other people's work. And I started out with the Vagina Monologues, and my production company was the first to produce it with an all African-American cast. So we had Monique, Vanessa Bell Calloway, Wendy Raquel Robinson, and Ella Joyce. And it was wonderful. And then I started traveling across the country and casting other women of color, because I found that even with the Vagina Monologues, they were talking about vaginas, and even though, yes, vaginas are universal no matter what culture, what color we are, but I just found that we were not telling it from our stories. You know, culturally, we're different. We come from an era of never let them see you sweat. What goes on in this house stays in this house. Whereas I found that with our white counterparts, you know, they're like, girl, I went to therapy today and I didn't take my Xanax. And they were just real open about sharing stuff that we just don't talk about. And so after traveling for about 8 years, I worked with a lot of wonderful people, Yana Van Zandt and Star Jones and Sherry Shepard, and I had a wonderful time. But something really important happened when Monique was nominated for the Oscar. 2020 called me because they saw that I had worked with her during the Vagina Monologues in her early days, and they wanted some video footage of it. And I called the company because even though it was my production as far as the event was concerned, I did not own the words. And so I had to call the Vagina Monologues headquarters and ask them for permission if they could air this information on 2020, and they told me no. So I said, okay. From there, I moved on to the Pocketbook Monologues, which was an author, she's passed on now, named Sharon McGee, and she talks about the pocketbook. You know, back in the day, the older women called the vagina the pocketbook. And so I brokered a deal with the Real Housewives of Atlanta, their second season, and I had cast Candy Burris, and at that time Lisa Wu was on there as well. And so we were aired on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. It blew up, I mean, everywhere. And they started calling. People said, can you bring your production to my event, or to my organization, or to my school? And so the young lady, not knowing at the time, still young in my entrepreneurship as far as contracts and things of that nature are concerned, so she started cutting me out, and she started going directly, and it was her piece. So legally, she could do that. Now, of course, just from you know, I had invested in getting everybody to Atlanta, brokering a deal with the Real Housewives of Atlanta, so of course I was just dependent on her good faith to follow through with that, and that didn't happen. And so, sure enough, somebody reached out to me in Alabama, and she said, I saw your production of the Pocketbook Monologues on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Can you bring it to Birmingham, Alabama? And I said, well, I'm no longer doing the Pocketbook Monologues. However, if you like what you saw on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, that was my production company, that was my casting. Everything you saw was my vision of what I brought together. I now have my own piece called Butterfly Confessions. if you would like me to bring that, I'll be happy to do that. And so I had nothing written at the time.
Look at God,
But it was a 5-figure contract, and I was not getting ready to lose that contract. And so she said, yes, we want Butterfly Confessions. And so I got with some other writers, some of my college mates, some of my sorority sisters, and I said, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is the vision that I want. I really wanted, after traveling with so many other pieces, I wanted a mix of the Vagina Monologues meets for colored girls. And that's how Butterfly Confessions came about. And so we went on tour to Birmingham, Alabama, and we had a wonderful show. And for a couple of years, it just sat on the shelf. And I said, you know what am I gonna do with this play? You know, and then I said, I might as well turn it into a book, because one, as an entrepreneur, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I was like, okay, we can sell these books, first of all. And when you put something in book format, it gives you a different kind of credibility, especially if you're an entrepreneur or if you're looking to go on the speaking circuit or what have you. And so I turned the play into a book. And then after all those years on the road with the Vagina Monologues, I said, you know what? Why don't I use that blueprint that they use? They have thousands of people producing their play and licensing out their play. I mean, I was one of them for several years. And so I created my own proposal for Butterfly Confessions, and I started pitching it out to different colleges, different organizations. And so far, we've been picked up in about 3 different colleges. I licensed it out to now. I don't have to be there. So where I was doing the Vagina Monologues, I was traveling. I was on the road. It was a grind. And I didn't have my daughter at the time. My daughter is 6 years old. And so I just said I have to think smarter and not work harder. And so now I license it out. It just closed probably 3 weeks ago at the Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, New Jersey.
Congratulations.
Their second time. It was there in April. They brought it back by popular demand. So I was excited about that. Milwaukee, over the summer, they did a production of it, and that was their second year. They were the first to produce it in the community realm, and they brought it back again this summer. So I was excited about that. So, and colleges have picked it up, and now I'm really working to try to reach out to, I really would like to reach colleges, African American colleges, HBCUs. I'm an HBCU graduate of Fisk University. But it's important to me that women, like, this could be a visionary project for them. You know, they produced it themselves, they directed themselves, they casted themselves. And what happens is that they create a sisterhood and a bond, because in Butterfly Confessions, we tackle some tough issues. We talk about molestation, we talk about rape, we talk about therapy, we talk about those things that we don't generally as a culture talk about or are not comfortable talking about. So it has an opportunity to really create a strong sisterhood among them that come together. So that's what I'm doing now with my play, and so I'm very excited about it, and it's kind of taken off without me now. So I'm stepping out of the way and just letting it fly.